Right? Hi everyone, this is CJ with Best Orlando Spots, and today we'll be talking politics. Theme park politics. Oh, wrong hand. So today we'll be talking about the Marvel Company and its presence in the different theme parks over here in Orlando. We do have two theme parks that do feature Marvel characters, which is Walt Disney World and Universal Studios Orlando. And each one of them has their own different version and iteration of each one. And how they kind of need to make it work in regards to the different respectful parks. Respectful? Respected. What's the correct way of saying it? Respectful. Respected. I can literally just change grammar. So back in 2009, Disney made the purchase of Marvel Studios. Disney owns it, however, Universal, Sony, Fox, well not really Fox now because Disney now owns that, they all kind of have to share these rights because Disney ultimately owns the Marvel company, but people still own rights to certain of those Marvel characters. So for example, you know the whole thing about Sony and Spider-Man and Disney, that whole thing has been kind of negotiated at this point. Back then, Marvel Studios was going down under for a little bit and they were close to filing for bankruptcy. So that's why they were selling off different parts of their superheroes in order to get the money back to, you know, keep the company afloat. They implemented all of those Marvel characters into the Universal Studios Orlando Park over in the Marvel Superhero Island. Why does Spider-Man need the ATV? I don't get it. So over there they have Spider-Man, they also have the X-Men, Fantastic Four, the Incredible Hulk, Captain America. All those are housed over there. Is this good B-roll, everybody? Wolverine's bicep. While over in Disney, it's really much nothing up until about this year. This year, about a couple years ago, there was really no Marvel presence in there because they didn't have it until 2009, and it's been kind of building ever since. So back in 1994, when Universal Studios Orlando did agree to buy all these Marvel properties, it sort of took into account the permanence and the longevity of these properties within the theme park. So pretty much what that means is that Marvel is gonna stay in the Universal Studios Orlando Park as long as Universal Studios Orlando wants it to stay there. And if they ever choose to get rid of Marvel Superhero Island, then they can go ahead and give out the rights to another theme park, say to Disney, and they can put a Marvel Superhero Island into theirs. But for right now, since Universal had this agreement, and since this is written in black and white, Marvel will stay in the Universal Studios Orlando Park, and I don't think they're ever going to take that out at this point. They would not let Disney have it, and if Disney did want to get it, it would cost them lots and lots of money to try to negotiate and get that. And at this point, they don't want the theme park rights. They mostly want the movie rights. The amount of money that land makes in Universal Orlando would not even measure to an Avengers movie making money. So at the end of the day, I think Disney is okay with the separation of Marvel for right now. They're gonna try their hardest to get past it and to work around it. However, that's just the way it is according to this agreement. But this goes for both sides of the Mississippi. In the agreement says, permitted uses shall be limited to the use of specific Marvel characters, and Marvel may not permit a license to use the name Marvel as part of the attraction name or marketing. Wonder why the new land over in Disneyland is gonna be called Avengers Campus and not Marvel Land? That's the reason why, because east or west of the Mississippi, they cannot use Marvel in any of the certain attractions. However, may not permit a license to use the name Marvel as part of the attraction name or marketing. Disney does own the Marvel name, and they can use the Marvel name in their merchandising. So that's why in many cases around the park, you still see the word Marvel, but it will never ever be attached to a ride. So these different rules do sort of make up all of the Marvel and Disney agreement when it comes to sharing it. But I think to kind of illustrate this better, I'd have to visually show you. So the whole Marvel, Universal Studios Orlando, Disney World deal is a little bit complicated, so I think it'd be better to visually see it. I went ahead and, courtesy of the UCF print lab, made these little cut-ups. Black and white, I am paying for that color. The different properties that each one of Universal Studios and Disney owns. And I labeled these guys Spider-Man, Captain America, Iron Man, Guardians, Black Panther, Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, Fantastic Four, and X-Men. Oh, hey, Spider-Man's there. What the heck? These guys over here is going to be the Universal Studios guys. These will be the Disney guys. And then this is just the Fox properties, which is pretty much Universal, but we'll go ahead, we'll just put them down just since we're thinking of the overall bigger picture. And I forgot to take a cutout of Thor, so I just got this hammer right here, so we'll just make that Thor. So let's go ahead, let's talk about Disney real quick for a second. Right over here. When it comes to Disney, the Marvel IP that is probably the most prominent within the parks are Guardians of the Galaxy. And the reasoning for that is because Universal Studios Orlando has not monopolized on these guys, so Disney has taken it upon themselves to go ahead and, you know, give their own ride over in Disney's California Adventure. And there's also been a ton of meet and greets over on the East Coast as well, over with Baby Groot and Star-Lord over in One Man's Dream over in Hollywood Studios. And they also have that Awesome Mix Live show over in Epcot, which is also very popular as well. I believe it ended about maybe end of August, coming when they were gearing up for the Food and Wine Festival. So we'll see if they bring them back with that. It is one of their best properties, and they are able to sort of mold it and mesh it into their own thing. So that's exactly why Guardians has such a big presence, is because Disney sort of had their first hands on it before Universal did, period. So as far as any other characters, they also have Doctor Strange within the theme parks as well. I know that they did sort of have a Doctor Strange meet and greet over in Hollywood Studios for a bit, over in their New York area when they were still refining the Star Wars and Toy Story Land areas. They did have a Doctor Strange meet and greet. Not sure if it's still there.
Focus. Feel the energy around you. Yes, draw from the multiverse.
And when it comes to Black Panther and Captain Marvel, their presence is known, but it's mostly over in the West Coast of Disney. So, but we'll get to that later. Moving on to Universal Studios Orlando, these guys over here have a very big presence in the park. Iron Man, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Thor. And they also have Fantastic Four and X-Men, which have meet and greets, and this one has, they have their own cafe, which is a quick service restaurant called Cafe 4. But all of that is all regional, to be honest. If we're going to go ahead and do this from a coast-to-coast basis, I can go ahead and explain that as well, because we don't have just parks, Universal Studios and Disney World parks in one coast. We have them in two coasts, so that makes it even more complicated. So let's dive into that one now. We already know that Guardians of the Galaxy already has a big presence within the Disney parks on the East Coast and the West Coast. However, they can only have Doctor Strange, Captain Marvel, and Black Panther if they want to do it on the East Coast, because there was no established sort of branding of these guys over in Universal Studios Orlando, so they're all fair game for this. However, Black Panther and Captain Marvel are over on the West Coast alongside Spider-Man and Captain America. So they're able to be there, but only because in Universal Studios Hollywood, there is no Marvel Superhero Island. So their meet and greets are over here because there is no other meet and greet for Universal for Captain America or Spider-Man over here. But that doesn't mean that Black Panther can't make his way over to the East Coast as well. He very much well can. And also Captain Marvel can as well. We're just waiting on Disney to figure out what they're going to do with that. And so all this sort of goes away once we get into the cruises. So when it comes to cruise lines, they are technically sailing over international waters. So their whole technicality of the Mississippi line is just thrown out the window altogether. So we just have that ship. So when it comes to that, they get to have Guardians on their ship, to have Doctor Strange, Captain America, Spider-Man, and Black Panther get to be in there, because there's no laws when the White Claws come out. I think that's the way that you say the joke. So they get to all sail together, Marvel Day at the Sea. The reason why they do these things is because so that different versions of all these superheroes do not mesh, and we don't get these confusions going on. Thanks so much for joining me here today to talk about Marvel politics within the theme parks. It's a lot of fun to talk about this because we live it every single day, but we don't have to deal with it every single day. And to see two parks make it work so harmoniously, and to only have just me make this video, to even have to draw attention to it. I think it's a lot of fun to talk about this, because whenever we do go to the parks, whenever I go to the parks, I can always go around and see Marvel, and they just do it just very, very meticulously. You know, I kind of forget, like, oh yeah, Disney kind of owns this, because they both give it such great amounts of love when it comes to Marvel and the theme parks. So if you're gonna see Marvel in any one of the theme parks, you're gonna get a good treat either way. So thanks for watching. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid to like, comment, and subscribe. Bye.